Amazon foam that I've been linking on some of the Facebook pages. It's a closed cell foam, 12 by 12 by 4 inches thick is what I used. You're gonna need a bigger piece if you want to do a build up on the front of the seat. This was just enough to make a seat the same length as the stock seat. I used a Dremel multi-tool to get the rough cut of the seat, get it closer to the shape that I wanted, and then I used a cheese grater looking tool. I think it's made for foam, but I'll also link that in the description along with the foam. And yeah, I just keep knocking it down, getting it closer to the shape, smoothing it out, knocking it down more with the cheese grater, smoothing it out, just back and forth. I eyeballed this whole seat. I didn't use any measuring tools or stencils, but I'm sure it's crooked, but good enough for what it is. I'm not a pro, you know, but take a look at how I did it. So I don't know where the footage went for this part, but I basically just dug out the bottom side so it could conform to the pan, or not conform, but kind of accept the pan, the seat pan. I spray painted it, pressed it up, whatever paint transferred over, I dug that part out deeper. And then let's see, I got this Gorilla Glue, the foaming Gorilla Glue, so any gaps would get filled up by the foaming of the glue. Weighted it down. I ended up taping it because I wasn't sure if the foam was gonna push the pan out, but it probably would have. But I taped it and I let it sit overnight. This is just a angle grinder with the 120 grit pad. Probably didn't need to do this, but it kind of helped gauge the symmetricalness. No. Gauge. Fuck, I don't know the word. You know what I mean. Easier to tell how much one of the sides was off. Then I went back to roughing it with the cheese grater and repeated it a couple times. After shaping this seat, I ended up ordering a die grinder, or an angle grinder. I meant to say die grinder at first, but I ordered a 90-degree angle grinder because it was actually kind of digging in a little with the die grinder, making a little bit gouges. But I was just kind of skimming the surface just so you could see where the actual height of that foam was, because when it was all fuzzy with the cheese grater, it was kind of hard to tell. So this first cover I did with a home type machine, sewing machine. I didn't think it was that bad looking at first, but I didn't check the seams and split them apart. I did it just a butt seam on that one, but so I ended up buying a Singer industrial sewing machine and watching some YouTube videos, learning that they top stitch it. You can YouTube top stitching if you want to see that, but so yeah, that's that's a top stitch. My first time doing a top stitch. I think it came out pretty good. So some notes from the other times I've stapled a seat. Line it up centered, throw some staples in down the center line, and work your way around the seat. Go front to back, do the other side front to back. As you staple it, it starts to shift a little, and with the shape of this seat, it comes to a point at the rear, so I found that it was better to end at the rear because it was easier to get rid of that last wrinkle because it came to a point. Another thing I learned from this last cover that I did, I ended up making the seams down the corners of the foothold. That actually helped out a lot because it gave that corner a nice rigid piece of fabric to tug on to get it to fit nicely in the corners. You can kind of see it a little bit where I split it next to the corner, but I'm probably going to do all my seats with footholds like that now.